In the seemingly tranquil expanse of a quiet suburban neighborhood, where days often unfolded with predictable rhythms and the gentle hum of everyday life provided a deep sense of collective security, an unthinkable event shattered the afternoon calm. This was a place characterized by tree-lined streets where children rode bikes, by well-tended gardens, and by familiar routines that offered a comforting, almost idyllic rhythm. Yet, this very ordinariness was abruptly and irrevocably broken by an urgent report that reverberated through the tight-knit community and instantly gripped the attention of local authorities. 12-year-old Emily had gone missing. Emily was more than just a resident of this peaceful suburb. She was a vibrant and integral part of its fabric, known for her bright personality, her infectious curiosity, and her unwavering adherence to routine. She was a diligent student at the local middle school. Her daily schedule was a well-established pattern. Classes, followed by her consistent walk home, a path she traversed 5 days a week without deviation. Her parents, intimately familiar with this routine, grew increasingly concerned when a familiar yellow school bus completed its route, came and went from their stop, and their daughter did not appear. Initial phone calls to her cell phone went straight to voicemail, each unanswered ring intensifying their growing dread. Text messages sent to her number remained unread, her digital silence echoing the alarming void of her physical absence. What began as a creeping worry quickly escalated into a frantic and overwhelming fear. This was profoundly unlike Emily. She was responsible, communicative, and understood implicitly the importance of checking in with her parents, especially if there was any deviation from her normal schedule. Her family knew, with a certainty that chilled them to bone and defied any attempt at rationalization, that something was terribly, irrevocably wrong. As the minutes stretched into an agonizing hour, and then into a terrifying eternity, the initial fear transformed into a cold, pervasive dread that settled deep in their hearts. Emily's parents, unable to reconcile her inexplicable absence with her reliable nature, made the agonizing call to the local authorities. The news of a missing child immediately galvanized the entire local police department, triggering their established protocols for such critical incidents. Uniformed officers were swiftly dispatched to the family home, their official presence a stark and somber reminder of the unfolding crisis. They began by meticulously gathering every conceivable detail: Emily's last known whereabouts, her precise typical route home from school, the specific clothes she was wearing that day, any recent changes in her behavior, any unusual new friendships, or any conflict she might have had. Every piece of information, no matter how seemingly insignificant, was meticulously cataloged and deemed crucial in these critical, rapidly dwindling early hours. The broader community, upon learning of Emily's disappearance, was profoundly and collectively shaken. The deep sense of shared security, often taken for granted in their peaceful suburb, evaporated almost instantly, replaced by a pervasive and unsettling anxiety that touched every household. Neighbors who had watched Emily grow from a small child into a blossoming preteen were gripped by a shared sense of helplessness and burgeoning fear. As the late afternoon sun began its descent, casting long, ominous shadows across familiar streets and well-kept yards, a widespread and comprehensive search operation was launched immediately. Local volunteers, dozens of concerned parents from Emily's school, and countless other worried citizens converged at designated meeting points, joining forces with law enforcement personnel in a desperate, collaborative effort to find her before nightfall. Search parties fanned out systematically across the entire neighborhood, meticulously combing through every accessible area. They traversed local parks, navigated dense wooded areas bordering residential zones, and walked every residential street, peering into alleyways and under bushes. Missing person bulletins, prominently featuring Emily's smiling photograph, were quickly printed and distributed, posted on lampposts, taped to shop windows, and shared rapidly across various social media platforms. Each shared a desperate plea for information. The collective hope was that someone, somewhere, had seen her during the critical time window, or had even a minuscule piece of information that could possibly lead them to her. Patrol cars crisscrossed the area in a continuous circuit, their flashing blue and red lights casting an urgent, pulsating glow into the rapidly darkening evening. Police helicopters, authorized for search, hovered persistently overhead, their powerful spotlights sweeping broad arcs across yards, rooftops, and surrounding fields, illuminating every potential hiding spot below. The organized chaos of the search efforts was a stark and unsettling contrast to the quiet suburban life that had existed just hours before. The once tranquil neighborhood was now a bustling hub of frantic activity, fueled by a collective fear for Emily's immediate safety and an unspoken dread of what might have truly occurred. Every minute that passed without news of her whereabouts only intensified the chilling realization that a young girl, who should have been safe at home, had simply vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and profound, expanding sense of foreboding that settled heavily over the entire community. The initial phase of the search for Emily had just begun, but the true nature of her disappearance remained shrouded in a terrifying, impenetrable uncertainty. With Emily's disappearance escalating from a family's nightmare to a full-scale community crisis, the initial investigation intensified. Detectives were now operating under the critical understanding that every passing minute was precious, potentially determining Emily's fate. The lead investigators, Detective Miles and his partner, Detective Chun, were tasked with leading the complex and urgent search. Their first priority was to meticulously retrace Emily's steps from the moment she left school until the time she was expected home, seeking to identify any deviation from her normal routine or any point where she might have encountered trouble. Their methodical process began at Emily's middle school. They interviewed classmates, asking about Emily's mood that day, any unusual conversation she might have had, or if she had made any plans to meet someone after school. The students, many of them visibly shaken by their friend's absence, provided fragmented but consistent accounts. Emily had seemed cheerful. She had not mentioned any specific plans for after school, and she had departed with her usual group of friends as they headed towards a bus stop. No one recalled anything out of the ordinary. No strange vehicles, no unfamiliar faces lingering near the school gates. Next, the detective spoke with Emily's teachers, inquiring about her behavior in class, her attendance record, and any potential disciplinary issues or concerns that might have caused her to run away, however unlikely that seemed given her parents' description of her. The teachers, too, confirmed Emily's consistent nature. She was a good student, well-behaved, and showed no signs of distress or unusual activity on the day she disappeared. The investigative team then moved to the immediate vicinity of Emily's designated bus stop. They interviewed the bus driver, who confirmed Emily had boarded the bus that day and had disembarked at her usual stop near her home. The driver recalled nothing unusual about her behavior or the environment around the bus stop at the time of her drop-off. This confirmed Emily had made it to her usual drop-off point, narrowing the window of her disappearance to the short walk between the bus stop and her front door. With the school and bus route thoroughly vetted, the focus shifted to the neighborhood itself. Detectives began a systematic door-to-door canvass of homes along Emily's direct walking route. They spoke with neighbors, asking if anyone had seen Emily walking home, if they had observed any unfamiliar vehicles, or if they had noticed anything out of place. Most neighbors expressed shock and concern, but few had seen anything definitively helpful. A few recalled seeing a girl matching Emily's description walking along the street at roughly the expected time, but these sightings were fleeting and unremarkable at the time they occurred. No one reported seeing her enter her home, nor did anyone report seeing her being coerced into a vehicle. To complement these interviews, Detective Miles and Chin initiated a comprehensive review of surveillance footage from any businesses or residential cameras positioned along or near Emily's route. This was a painstaking process, requiring hours of reviewing grainy, low-resolution video frames. Eventually, they located footage from a small convenience store's exterior camera, located a few blocks from Emily's bus stop. The timestamp confirmed that Emily was indeed captured walking alone on the sidewalk, carrying her backpack, just as she normally would. The image was clear enough to positively identify her, confirming her presence at that specific location at that specific time. This footage was a critical piece of the puzzle, confirming her journey home was proceeding as usual up to that point. However, the camera's limited field of view provided no further leads beyond that point. The footage ended with Emily continuing down the street, disappearing from the frame, and then inexplicably vanishing from reality. No other cameras along her path yielded any conclusive sightings of her or anyone else interacting with her. The initial investigation had established Emily's last confirmed movements and her consistent behavior, but it had yielded no obvious culprits, no ransom demands, no witnesses to an abduction. The lack of any further leads from the extensive search operations and interviews left detectives with a frustrating void. It was as if Emily had simply disappeared into thin air in the final few blocks of her journey home. The traditional investigative avenues were beginning to reach a dead end, forcing Detectives Miles and Chun to consider less conventional approaches and to expand their search beyond the immediate vicinity of her disappearance. The case had transitioned from a routine missing persons investigation to a deeply perplexing mystery, with every passing moment increasing the urgency and the chilling possibility of a more sinister outcome. The silence from Emily's phone and the absence of any trace of her underscored the grim reality that someone or something had intervened in her journey home, a sinister presence lurking unseen within the quiet normalcy of their suburban community. The initial investigation into Emily's disappearance, despite its thoroughness, had reached a frustrating impasse. The extensive search operations had yielded no physical trace of her, and the meticulous review of surveillance footage confirmed her last known whereabouts, but offered no further clues. Emily had simply vanished in the final stretch of her journey home. Detectives Miles and Chun, experienced enough to recognize the signs, understood that this chilling lack of conventional leads often pointed to an intentional act rather than a runaway or a simple accident. Their focus shifted from retracing steps to identifying potential human elements that might have intersected with Emily's path. Their break came not from a direct observation, but from a piece of crucial intelligence, a tip received by the police hotline, specifically established for Emily's case. The call came from a concerned citizen, a neighbor who had been watching the news and felt compelled to share a disturbing detail. The tipster identified a local man named John, who lived only a few blocks from Emily's bus stop. The neighbor expressed a vague but persistent unease about John, recounting instances of his unusual behavior around children in the community. While not direct evidence of crime, the tip suggested a pattern of unsettling conduct that warranted immediate attention. Upon receiving the tip, Detectives Miles and Chin immediately pivoted their investigation toward John. They began by conducting a discreet but comprehensive background check. What they uncovered solidified John as a significant person of interest. John indeed had a prior record of inappropriate behavior towards minors. While these incidents had not resulted in major convictions in the past, they included documented complaints, restraining orders, and arrests for harassment and suspicious loitering near schools and parks. This history, previously unlinked to Emily's disappearance, now cast a deeply disturbing shadow. He had a documented pattern of targeting young individuals, often in public spaces, and his residence was alarmingly close to Emily's known walking route. The detectives also delved into John's current living situation and habits. They learned that he lived alone, kept largely to himself, and often worked odd hours. Neighbors described him as reclusive, though some also recalled seeing him occasionally observing children from his porch or car, activities that, in retrospect, now appeared far more sinister. There were no immediate connections between John and Emily's family, no known shared acquaintances, which indicated that Emily was likely not specifically targeted due to a personal vendetta, but rather as an opportunistic victim. This realization only amplified the urgency of their investigation. Recognizing the escalating threat and the disturbing pattern of behavior, Detectives Miles and Chin knew they needed to move quickly and legally. They began the process of obtaining a search warrant for John's residence and his electronic devices. Building a compelling case for a warrant required demonstrating probable cause to a judge. They presented all the gathered intelligence: the anonymous tip, John's prior history of inappropriate behavior towards minors, the geographic proximity of his home to Emily's last known location, and the current absence of any other viable leads in the missing child case. They argued that given his past and the circumstances of Emily's disappearance, there was a reasonable belief that evidence related to her whereabouts might be found within his property or on his devices. The judge, understanding the gravity of a missing child case, granted the warrant, providing the legal authority to proceed. With the search warrant in hand, a tactical decision was made to execute it with precision and caution. A team of officers was assembled, ensuring John could be detained safely while the search was conducted. Their objective was clear: to locate Emily, if she was present, and to gather any evidence that could shed light on her disappearance. The atmosphere was tense. Every officer understood the critical nature of the mission, and potential danger involved when dealing with an individual suspected of targeting children. The plan was executed swiftly. Officers approached John's residence, secured the perimeter, and made contact. John, upon being informed of the warrant and the nature of the investigation, displayed a calm demeanor, almost eerily so, denying any knowledge of Emily or her disappearance. He presented a facade of innocence, claiming to have been home alone, uninvolved in any outside activities. However, his outward composure did little to deter the determined investigators. The search of his residence began immediately, meticulously and systematically, with a particular focus on any areas where a child might be hidden or where evidence related to a missing person could be concealed. The stage was now set for the most critical phase of the investigation, a phase that would either exonerate John or confirm the terrifying suspicions that had begun to coalesce around him. The fate of Emily and the grim truth of her disappearance now hinged on what would be found within the walls of this seemingly ordinary suburban home. With the search warrant legally secured and the tactical team in place, the operation to search John's residence commenced. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of professional resolve and a gnawing sense of urgency. Every officer understood that Emily's life could depend on their meticulousness and speed. While a primary objective was to locate Emily herself, the broader aim was to gather any and all evidence that could shed light on her disappearance and potentially implicate John. The search of John's seemingly ordinary suburban home began systematically. Officers methodically moved through each room, their training guiding them to look beyond the obvious. They paid particular attention to any spaces where a child might be hidden or confined. Closets, basements, and even large pieces of furniture. Simultaneously, other officers were tasked with identifying and seizing any electronic devices that could hold crucial digital evidence. In modern investigations, the digital footprint left by individuals is often as telling, if not more so, than physical evidence. They knew that phones, computers, tablets, and external hard drives could contain critical information about communications, online activities, or even the perpetrator's own record of their crimes. During this painstaking search, which spanned several hours, John remained largely uncooperative, maintaining his initial facade of innocence. He repeatedly denied any involvement, claiming to be ignorant of Emily's whereabouts and asserting that the search was a baseless intrusion. However, his outward calm was a stark contrast to the rapidly unfolding reality within his home. While no physical trace of Emily was immediately found within the house itself, a crucial breakthrough occurred in John's bedroom. Nestled within a drawer of his nightstand, beneath a stack of unassuming papers, officers discovered a collection of electronic devices: a smartphone, a small tablet, and a laptop computer. These devices were immediately seized and carefully packaged as evidence, their potential contents representing a vital new avenue for the investigation. The seized devices were quickly transported to the police department's forensic technology lab, a specialized unit equipped with advanced tools and expertise for extracting digital evidence. The lead digital forensic analyst, a seasoned professional with years of experience unlocking encrypted data, began the painstaking process of attempting to access John's smartphone. The phone was protected by a passcode, a common security measure that criminals often rely on to conceal their activities. However, law enforcement agencies have access to sophisticated technology and techniques specifically designed to bypass such security features when legally authorized. The process of unlocking the phone was meticulous, requiring specialized software and considerable technical skill. It was a race against time, a silent battle between encryption and investigative urgency. After hours of dedicated effort, the digital forensic analyst achieved a breakthrough. The phone was successfully unlocked. What they found within its digital confines immediately sent a chilling wave through the entire investigative team. Upon gaining access to the phone's internal storage, the analysts navigated through its directories, their trained eyes searching for any anomaly. They quickly located a hidden folder, disguised amidst innocuous-looking files. The contents of this folder were horrifying, the screen illuminated with disturbing videos and images of Emily. These were not casual photographs. They were illicit, predatory recordings. The videos showed Emily in various states of distress, clearly indicating she had been held against her will. She was shown in what appeared to be a confined, unfamiliar space, exhibiting signs of fear and trauma. The images, too, were equally chilling, capturing her vulnerability and confirming, beyond any doubt, that she had been in John's custody. The videos were not only proof of Emily's captivity, but also provided critical visual clues about her environment. The background elements, though subtle, began to tell a story. Specific wall coverings, a unique window frame, certain pieces of furniture, distinct patterns in the lighting. These details, meticulously captured by John himself, were invaluable. They allowed investigators to piece together a partial image of where Emily was being held. This was concrete visual evidence that transcended John's denials. It was undeniable proof of his heinous crime and Emily's captivity. The discovery sent shockwaves through the police station. The images and videos provided irrefutable proof of abduction and confirmed the worst fears regarding Emily's immediate safety. The objective shifted from a broad search to a targeted rescue operation. The digital evidence from John's phone was not just a means to secure a conviction. It was now the immediate key to locating and saving Emily. The terrifying content within the phone, a testament to John's depravity, simultaneously became the most critical tool in the race against time to bring Emily home alive. The quiet suburban investigation had just plunged into its most harrowing and urgent phase, propelled by the horrifying revelations unlocked from a single mobile phone. The chilling discovery of horrifying videos and images of Emily on John's unlocked phone transformed the entire scope of the investigation from a desperate search for a missing child into an urgent, high-stakes rescue operation. The digital evidence, though sickening in its content, provided the most critical piece of the puzzle: visual clues about Emily's environment. Detectives Miles and Chun, along with the digital forensic analysts, immediately shifted their focus to scrutinizing every frame of the disturbing videos and images, searching for any detail that could pinpoint Emily's exact location. The forensic analysts, working under immense pressure, meticulously isolated specific elements from the video footage. They zoomed in on faint background features, analyzed unique wall coverings, studied the patterns of light filtering through windows, and even identified subtle characteristics of furniture or fixtures that appeared in the periphery of the frames. These details, seemingly insignificant to an untrained eye, were invaluable to experienced investigators. They also scoured John's phone for any other data, call logs, text messages, GPS history, or even online search queries that might reveal his movements or habits related to a secondary location. Their exhaustive analysis led to a crucial breakthrough. Several unique architectural elements visible in the videos, combined with geotag data from a few of John's older photos on the phone, pointed towards a specific property. It was a remote cabin owned by John's family, located deep within a heavily wooded, secluded area roughly 2 hours' drive from the suburban neighborhood. This location had not appeared on any initial searches due to its private ownership and isolated nature, lying well outside the immediate search grids. The cabin, far from prying eyes and conventional patrols, provided the perfect setting for a hidden, heinous crime. With this intelligence in hand, the police department immediately initiated a tactical planning phase. The rescue of a potentially traumatized child from a suspected predator in a remote location presented significant challenges and risks. Safety was paramount, both for Emily and for the officers involved. A SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, team was immediately mobilized. These highly trained officers began to meticulously plan the operation, analyzing maps of the cabin area, assessing potential entry points, and developing contingency plans for various scenarios. Their objective was clear: to infiltrate the location swiftly and silently, secure Emily, and apprehend John without further harm to the victim or the officers. Time was of the essence. Every minute prolonged Emily's ordeal and increased the risk. Under the cover of darkness, the SWAT team moved in. Their approach to the remote cabin was executed with military precision and absolute stealth. They navigated the dense forest, their movements calculated to avoid detection, ensuring no sound or light would alert John to their presence. As they neared the cabin, thermal imaging technology was deployed to confirm if there were heat signatures inside, indicating occupancy. The images confirmed multiple heat sources, confirming Emily's presence and John's. At a predetermined signal, the team executed a swift and decisive entry. The element of surprise was critical. They breached the cabin's entry point simultaneously, flooding the interior with trained personnel. The sudden intrusion allowed them to quickly gain control of the situation. Inside, the scene was grim but provided immediate relief. Emily was found alive. She was discovered in a secluded room, clearly traumatized and disoriented but physically intact. Her immediate removal from the terrifying environment became the priority. Medics, part of the SWAT team, quickly assessed her condition, offering immediate comfort and a preliminary medical evaluation. Simultaneously, John was apprehended on the spot. He offered no resistance, seemingly stunned by the sudden and overwhelming police presence. His facade of innocence, which had managed to deceive investigators in the initial stages, completely crumbled in the face of his capture. He was immediately secured, his freedom unequivocally ended as the full weight of the law descended upon him. Additional officers meticulously swept the cabin, documenting the crime scene, collecting further forensic evidence that corroborated the horrifying videos found on John's phone, and securing any other items that might be linked to Emily's captivity or John's predatory activities. The cabin itself served as a chilling extension of the digital evidence, providing a tangible confirmation of Emily's terrifying ordeal. The rescue operation was a resounding success, a testament to the dedication of the investigators, the precision of the tactical team, and the critical role that advanced technology played in identifying the perpetrator and his hidden lair. Emily, though deeply traumatized, was safe, her agonizing ordeal brought to an end. John, the predator who thought his remote hiding place in digital security could shield him, was now in custody, his horrifying secret fully exposed. The silence that had initially enveloped Emily's disappearance was now replaced by the definitive sounds of justice being served and the first tentative steps toward a long journey of healing. The quiet suburban neighborhood, which had been gripped by fear, could now breathe a collective sigh of relief, knowing that a dangerous individual had been removed from their midst and a child had been brought back from the brink of unthinkable harm. With Emily safely rescued and John apprehended, the immediate crisis had been averted. However, the path to true justice and recovery was just beginning. The full weight of the legal system now turned its attention to John, aiming to hold him accountable for his heinous crimes and to ensure no other child would fall victim to his depravity. John faced a comprehensive array of severe charges, each one reflecting a different facet of his horrifying actions. These included kidnapping for the forcible abduction and unlawful confinement of Emily, unlawful imprisonment for holding her against her will in a remote cabin, and possession of illicit materials, a charge directly stemming from the horrifying videos and images discovered on his phone. The prosecution, led by a dedicated team of legal professionals, meticulously built their case, understanding the critical importance of conviction, not only for Emily and her family, but for the safety of the entire community. During the pre-trial phase, the evidence against John was meticulously organized and analyzed. The digital forensic experts prepared detailed reports on the contents of John's phone and other electronic devices, outlining the discovery of the hidden folders, the timestamps of the illicit recordings, and the geotag data that had led investigators to the cabin. Every video frame and every image was cataloged, providing undeniable proof of Emily's captivity and the nature of John's predatory actions. These digital files became central to the prosecution's strategy, presenting a silent yet incredibly powerful testament to his guilt. Physical evidence collected from the cabin, such as restraints, specific items belonging to Emily, and any trace evidence, further corroborated the digital findings, solidifying an unassailable case. The trial itself was a somber and intense affair, drawing significant public and media attention. The community, still reeling from the shock of Emily's disappearance and rescue, followed every development closely, eager for justice to be served. The courtroom proceedings were methodical and precise, each piece of evidence laid out before the jury. The prosecution began by presenting the timeline of Emily's disappearance, using witness testimonies from her school, the bus driver, and neighbors to establish her last known movements. This set the stage for the dramatic reveal of John's involvement. The true turning point in the trial, however, came with the presentation of the evidence from John's phone. Digital forensic analysts testified, explaining the process of unlocking the device and navigating its contents. They projected stills and carefully selected segments of the videos and images onto large screens for the jury, with utmost sensitivity to Emily's privacy and trauma. The horrifying nature of these materials was undeniable, providing irrefutable visual proof that Emily had indeed been held captive by John. The detailed background elements in the videos, previously used to locate the cabin, now served as crucial corroborating evidence, visually linking John to the secluded location and Emily's ordeal. This digital evidence was a profoundly damning testament to John's guilt, leaving little room for doubt. John's defense, facing overwhelming evidence, attempted various strategies. They argued that the videos were perhaps taken out of context, or that the electronic devices were not exclusively John's, or even that he had been coerced. However, these claims quickly crumbled under cross-examination. The meticulous chain of custody for the electronic devices, the direct link of the content to Emily's disappearance, and John's prior history of inappropriate behavior, all rendered his defense arguments ineffective. His own lack of a credible alibi for the time of the kidnapping, coupled with the clear visual evidence, left him with no plausible explanation for Emily's presence in the horrifying videos. The jury, after deliberating for a relatively short period, returned with a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts. John was convicted of kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and possession of illicit materials. The judge, in delivering the sentence, emphasized the severity of John's crimes, the profound violation of a child's innocence, and the calculated nature of his actions. John received a lengthy and substantial prison sentence, ensuring he would remain incarcerated for a significant portion of his life, posing no further threat to children or society. The legal proceedings concluded, marking a definitive victory for justice and a crucial step towards healing. For Emily, the reunification with her family marked the beginning of an incredibly long and arduous journey of recovery and healing. While physically safe, the psychological and emotional scars of her captivity were profound. The trauma of being abducted, confined, and subjected to such horrifying experiences would not simply disappear at her rescue. She began intensive therapy with specialists in childhood trauma, working through the fear, confusion, and violation she had endured. Her therapist helped her to process the events, to understand that what happened was not her fault, and to gradually rebuild a sense of safety and trust. Support groups, composed of other child survivors and their families, provided a crucial network of shared understanding and empathy, helping her feel less alone in her struggle. The community, having experienced the collective fear and subsequent relief of Emily's rescue, rallied around her and her family with an outpouring of support and resources. Local organizations provided financial assistance for her ongoing therapy and educational needs. Neighbors offered meals, practical help, and a reassuring presence. Schools implemented enhanced child safety programs, and parent groups organized workshops on online safety and stranger danger. The incident, though tragic, had galvanized the community, transforming it into a more vigilant and supportive environment for its children. Emily's story became a catalyst for increased awareness and a commitment to protecting the most vulnerable members of society. In its ultimate conclusion, the chilling narrative of cops unlock predator's phone, find horrifying videos of missing girl, transcends the specific details of Emily's ordeal. It serves as a stark and powerful cautionary tale for all communities. It highlights the undeniable importance of unwavering vigilance in protecting children, emphasizing that dangers can lurk in seemingly ordinary places and behind ordinary facades. It underscores the responsibility of every individual to report anything suspicious, no matter how minor it might seem, and to actively participate in creating safer environments for children. Moreover, this case dramatically illustrates the critical role technology plays in modern investigations. John's phone, which he believed would conceal his dark secrets, ultimately became the very tool that led to his capture and Emily's rescue. It showcases how digital footprints, whether intentional or inadvertent, can be meticulously tracked and analyzed by law enforcement, providing vital clues in complex criminal cases. This blend of traditional investigative work, following leads, interviewing witnesses, with cutting-edge digital forensics creates a formidable force against perpetrators who rely on secrecy and technological savvy to commit their crimes. Emily's story, though born from a nightmare, culminates in a testament to resilience. Her survival and the successful apprehension of her abductor serve as a potent reminder that even in the face of profound evil, justice can prevail and healing is possible. It's a chilling reminder that predators can exist anywhere, but also a hopeful message that vigilance, community action, and the relentless pursuit of truth can ultimately bring light to the darkest corners and ensure the safety of innocent lives. The terrifying ordeal ultimately strengthened the community, turning a tragedy into a powerful lesson in collective protection and the enduring power of investigative determination.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more.